All right, welcome to the UCW Radio Show, and I want to thank you for tuning in, listening, and viewing, and everything. You know how we do how we do the UCW Radio Show. We have inspirational, motivational, awesome people on here to share their story with you, and I bring them on here because I think that these stories should be heard. And we have one awesome person after another over the past 15 years doing it. And now we have someone that we've had on the show, but we haven't really told his story the way it should be told. So I'm going to let him tell his story. We're bringing on, if you don't know him, you should know him. We're bringing on the great Bobby Samuels. Bobby,
How
welcome
you
to the show.
doing?
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for
I
coming
appreciate
on
it.
and making the time for us. So let's start at the beginning. You know, you've been involved in the film business for a long time. You've been involved in martial arts for even longer than that. Your father did some amazing things. I know the stories. I want
Thank
you to
you.
share these stories, and I do want to talk about your dad because those people that listen to my other show, Money Never Sleeps, it's a financial
Yes.
show, and I want you to tell a little bit about your father towards the latter part of the show. But let's talk about you
Sure.
right now. Tell us,
Thank
man.
you.
Tell us how you got involved in martial arts, and then we're going to talk about the films.
I began when I was around 10, studying Kung Fu with a guy named Maurice Tunstall. And he taught me Hong Gar Kung Fu, which is a five animal system. Um, I was his first real, like, dedicated student. He had a lot of students, but I was probably the first one that was like there every day, every hour of the day. I lived and breathed Kung Fu. I just wanted to learn so much. So I studied with him for about 10 years. Subsequently, after that, I ended up studying with his master, Chung Shipoi, in Philadelphia, Chinatown. All the while, having a love and affection for martial arts films. So that helped propel my dedication to the martial arts, wanting to be in the films one day.
And
So
you
yeah,
you you grew
that's
up
where it
like
all began.
me, watching the Kung Fu Cinema on Channel Five and stuff like that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. It had a very powerful impression upon me growing up, and of course, it's a different generation now, so they don't
Sure.
those the memories that we have, they don't really understand. They
Hmm.
can appreciate, but they don't understand. You know that these films, they gave us hope and dreams and heroic action actors, and
Hmm.
it was a good time,
So,
especially in New York during the '70s.
oh yeah, well that's a different story altogether. If you had to pick one film when you were growing up that was that pivotal moment that pushed you to thinking, "Hey, I want to go and get involved in films. I want to go and do this." What was that point?
That would be Five Fingers of Death, a film with
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Rollet.
Yeah.
Funny, ironic story is that when I actually did my first big film in Hong Kong with Sammo Hung, Lole was one of the co-stars.
Hmm.
So it was like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always those moments that something hits you, and it's like you have this moment of clarity. It's like an epiphany almost, where you think I can be that, and I can do something maybe greater than that. It's not even being like that; is maybe doing something greater because everybody wants to clone someone, but can you
That's
be
correct.
better than them? You can be their peer, but can you be better than them? And that's the key
Right.
thing, and that's probably what was on your mind.
It was. And I knew there was obstacles because I was an African American,
Hmm.
and I grew up in West Philadelphia. It's a rough area.
No.
But I knew that I had so many obstacles to overcome just to even get to Hong Kong.
Hmm.
So I knew that I had to have something that some people didn't have in order to make it work for me.
Hmm.
The real hope came when I saw movies with Ron Van Cleef and was Carl Scott.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah,
they
the
were
Black
powerful.
Dragon. The Black
Yeah,
Dragon.
the Black Dragon, the
Yeah,
Black Dragon, the Black Dragon. Yep,
yeah. And you saw them in action, and that probably sparked a little more for you.
it did. It gave me hope. It seeing African Americans in Hong Kong films.
Hmm.
I knew at that point that the dream that I thought that was probably unattainable, that I could reach it. So that really motivated me more to start the training harder.
Would you say that Ron broke that barrier, which gave you the opportunity? You know, you and I know Ron well, and you know he's done some amazing things in his life, and I'm just wondering if he was that person that opened up that gap for you and others to follow suit.
Yes, Ron Van Cleef. I idolized him, and then it's how ironic. In 1996, I was doing a film with Fat Joe called Blazing in New
Okay.
York, and he actually casted in the film.
Hmm.
So just to see him and work with him for the first time, that was like 100% full force. You know,
Yeah.
Ron Van Cleef, he's the Godfather, and then Carl Scott followed him. You know,
Right.
Hard Way to Die, Superpower. So yeah, I knew that once I saw African Americans, you know, being accepted in that industry, that I could reach that goal, but I just had to have a plan.
But you were focused more on the serious outlook of things. You know, I know because you've had there have been movies that like Berry Gordy made a movie, and and it was to me it was more like a culty type of flick. It wasn't
Yeah,
more like, oh my God, I'm inspired to be that person. You know, maybe
yeah,
in a comical sense, but not in reality, that it can better you as an individual, in my opinion. And as far
and
as
no,
opening up doors for
mhm,
other people of color, other martial
mhm.
artists of color, other actors of color, and giving them that opening, saying, hey, a door is open now, I can actually go here. Today you have more of that going on, but back then there wasn't a lot.
No, it really wasn't.
Yeah.
And I grew up 42nd Street, New York. My mother and father divorced when I was very young, when I was
Mhm.
2. And my father, he was vice president of Manufacturers Hanover Trust.
Mhm.
He was the first black banker on Wall Street.
Manny
Uh,
Hanny.
Yeah, Manny Annie
Yeah.
during the early 60s.
Yep.
And so I shuffled between New York and Philadelphia growing up. But being with my father, I ended up being able to go to 42nd Street all the time, where all the martial arts movies were.
Yeah.
So I would just spend countless days inside those theaters just watching
Double
one
features.
theater out
The
to
double
the next.
features.
The double features, the triple features, you
Yeah.
know, it was amazing, you
Yeah.
know, during that time. Had to share it with some black exploitation, but you know, I just wanted straight kung fu. But still, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
So yeah, good memories. Good
Yeah,
memories.
and from that time, as you grew up and as you got more involved in the Hollywood scene, because you've been doing it for a bit, you know,
Hmm.
do you think that you have more as far as martial artists transitioning to film and to the entertainment arena? Do you think that more opportunities are here today for them because of people like yourself that kept pushing and breaking down these little, not little barriers, they're pretty big, but they were being broken down from the bottom up?
Yeah. I think now, especially with the advent of digital technology
Hmm.
and digital cameras and just the filmmaking process now, uh, being able to be more affordable
Hmm.
for upstart individuals who want to start their film production companies,
Hmm.
or getting them, acting and things of that nature. So yeah, I think that it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, and I also, I like the fact that, you know, if well, if more people looked at filmmaking the way they should and look at it as an art form, you're expressing yourself to creativity and everything, and you're making it more diversified. To me,
Hmm.
that's key. I always had a problem, this is my opinion, but it's
Hmm.
my view on things. I always had a problem when a movie just starred one group of people. Like you have all Spanish or all black or all white.
Right.
Where's the diversity? That's
Hmm.
why, you being in Hong Kong movies, or Ron Van Cleef being in Hong Kong movies, is like that. I mean, you're talking about diversity. That's diversity on
Yeah,
another level. But
it
where is
truly
that?
is.
Where is that today, though?
Uh, well, Hong Kong cinema is appreciated more so in America now than in its own homeland.
Hmm.
As there's certain things going on where the business in Hong Kong, the film business is pretty much gone.
Hmm.
Most film is being done in mainland China right now, and of course that's under strict control. For me to do an American film in Asia, there's only, I think, 3 or 4 films that they allow to be filmed in China in a year, and it has to be approved by the government, and it's just so much red tape.
Hmm.
So it's kind of different now. So that's why I say the advent of digital technology allows individuals now to kind of chart their own course if they pay attention and have a firm game plan. I was fortunate, I had a plan. I knew that I couldn't afford to go back and forth to Hong Kong, so I was working for U.S. Airways,
Hmm.
and I got a job at the airlines. I knew that if you got a job with the airlines, you could fly for free or at a discount rate. So
Nice.
I said, that's part of my plan. So I got hired. Actually, I worked for a security company with the airline, but I greeted the U.S. Airways professionals every day
Hmm.
very kindly. And then one day, a gentleman asked me, he says, "Hey, did you ever think about working for us?" And I said, no, but in reality, I really wanted it. He
Right.
said, "Well, be at my office tomorrow morning." And then I started actually working for the airline, and
Hmm.
that's when it all started. I worked for a year. I got a week's vacation, and I just used that to just catch a flight to Hong Kong, just to land and see the place and understand that that's the land of where I wanted to go.
Hmm.
All the while, I was self-teaching myself how to speak Chinese because, when I was here in America, I would go to auditions. Wesley Snipes would show up. Lawrence Fishburne would show up.
Hmm.
And when those guys show up, I never had an opportunity. I already knew, the resume. So
Right.
I said, the plan was to go to another country, make a name for myself, and then come back to the United States.
Hmm.
And that way I would have a resume with me when I came back.
Hmm.
And it actually worked. What I didn't realize was that while I was in Asia for all those years, that a lot of my films were being seen here in the United States. And, where I didn't think people were appreciating me or even knew about me, it was an underground with the Hong Kong cinema. That was during the early John Woo and Choi Hark days.
Hmm.
So yeah, sometimes you have to chart an unorthodox course in order to get to your goals, but it can be done.
No, and I think that's again, you knocked down a lot of barriers, and you doing that. To me, I tell you this in person. It just amazes me, that if you put your mind to something, if you have the passion, that you can make it all happen. Now, how many
Hmm.
movies did you make in in Hong Kong?
In Hong Kong, Red Wolf, Gambling Ghosts, Don't Give a Damn. What happened was I had been doing action films for so long, and then there was another prolific director. His name was Alfred Cheung,
Hmm.
and he said, I'm doing a romantic love story, and I want an unusual spin on it. He says I'm going to shoot an English version and a Chinese version at the same time.
Okay.
Brilliant director, Alfred Chung. And so I played one of the leads in the English language version, and it was the first time an African American had on-screen romance with an Asian female in
Hmm.
Hong Kong history. So again, trying to set barriers to break down. That's all. But again, Ron Van Cleef, Carl Scott, they laid the blueprint for me, as well as Jim Kelly.
Well, Jim Kelly, I mean, R.I.P. He did a lot as well. I mean,
Yes,
a lot of people
yes.
know him from Enter the Dragon, of course, but he's
Hmm.
done a lot of other things beyond that. But even
Yeah,
if you look at Enter the Dragon, you look at how it is. There was diversity there.
it was. It
Yeah,
was.
and
And when I
people
do
don't
my
see,
film
don't
now,
realize that was real diversity to have all those different
John
people.
Saxon,
Hmm.
that's right. Jim Kelly, Bruce Lee, black,
Right.
white, Asian,
Yeah, it didn't
and
matter.
that 45 years later, it's still an iconic film.
Yeah. And
Yep.
it's not a cult classic. It is an actual. It's a film that you can watch over and over and over and over,
He,
and it's just something else.
he is the Asian James Bond in there. Let's just
Oh,
face it.
oh, no question, no question. Talk about
James Bond
charisma.
without James Bond without the guns and
Yeah,
just the hands.
yeah.
So
But he inspired a new generation. I mean, he
yes,
inspired me when I was younger, and I'm
mhm,
sure he inspired you, and he inspired other
yes,
people.
yes.
And to have individuals like that show up that come from a martial arts background and they go into film to
Hmm.
rise to that level and inspire so many people for decades and
Generation.
generations.
Correct.
Okay, it's an amazing thing. Do you think that not that we would ever have anyone like that, but do you think that there are any martial art martial artists that are actors of color that could be that motivation, that inspiration for the next generation and the generation after that? I mean, I'm not talking about just be the inspiration for, hey, you're black, you're inspired. No, be the inspiration for many, the diverse crowd.
Hmm.
Whether you're
Hmm.
black, white, Chinese, this, that, whatever it is, that you
Hmm.
can have that impact. Do you see that happening?
I see it happening. There's a crop of young martial artists that are out there now with very good skill sets
Hmm.
that, with the dedication and the right, promotion, they could really go far.
Hmm.
But the issue here is, I always said Bruce Lee was before his time.
Hmm.
There's just some people that, are before their time, and
Yeah.
we're just blessed to have him here for a short period. As you know, he died very young.
Uh-huh.
He would have been in his 80s as we sit here and talk right now.
Yeah.
So the image, I don't think that we could view the image of Bruce at 80. All of us around the world view him as this invincible character because
Hmm.
that's how he was preserved.
Yeah.
Um, and it will last beyond you and my generations because he truly was an anomaly.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Living with Samo, I asked Samo one day, um, how good was Bruce Lee? Because he fought Bruce Lee in the beginning of Enter the Dragon. They
Right.
were friends, and he said one day Bruce Lee walked into his office, when they wanted to meet, and then he was like, "Hi, how you doing?" He said, "I'm Bruce Lee," and then Samo said, "Hi, I'm Samo." At the time, Samo was a pretty well known action director at Golden Harvest, and Bruce tested him. Bruce was like, I can hit you 2 times before you can move. And Samo took the challenge. And Samo said that he hit him 4 times before he could even move. And he said he was the fastest man he had ever seen on earth. So coming from Sammo Hung, who himself is one of the, 3 dragons, that says a lot. It really
Sure.
does.
Sure. And
And he said it wasn't even about the money to do Enter the Dragon. It was just an opportunity to work with him on screen. So when you have people that are at that level that really just want the opportunity to work with Bruce Lee, I mean, like I say, it was before his time.
Mhm.
No one has been able to touch that. Jackie is good, don't get me wrong, but
It's
Jackie's not
different.
Bruce.
No, no. See, that's the thing is like with Jackie Chan, he's he's good at what he does, but it's more of a comical type of thing. But he's talented. But that's his
He's very.
angle. That's his
Yep.
angle.
Hmm.
Bruce Lee was not comical. He was like, "I'm gonna hurt you," if I, and that's the thing, and that's the power. It's like you mentioned James Bond. James Bond, when you had Roger Moore and you had Sean Connery, that was a different type of James Bond. When you
Hmm.
transition to the new James Bond,
Hmm.
you're talking about a badass on another level, and
Right.
it changes the game because you're dark, like Batman.
Hmm.
When you turn that
Right.
character dark, all of a sudden becomes interesting, and it's like, okay, and it seems like a lot of films are doing that now, and it's
Hmm.
basically making it, well, it's more violent, but it's making it more like real. You don't have the good guy, dum da dum. You don't have that.
Right.
You have a good guy that's maybe bad, and that you look at, like Dwayne Johnson, DJ. He's inspiring everyone across all levels, every
Yeah.
race, every generation, and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Is I love it because you need to do that, and we need
Yes.
more of that.
He's a remarkable actor, action star.
Hmm.
I was so fortunate in 1999 when he was actually a big wrestler for WWE. Vince
Hmm.
McMahon, he was his number one. I got hired to do a commercial for Vince McMahon's WWE up in Stamford, Connecticut,
Hmm.
and it was with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, China, Mankind, all the famous wrestlers from then. Vince
Hmm.
McMahon. But I got thrown out of a conference window, and I actually broke my back
Oh
doing that.
wow.
It was my first major injury doing movies. I survived Hong Kong and everything.
Eh,
On
You
the
get taken
succumb
out
to
by
that.
Vince McMahon.
There you go. But just working with him, he was such a nice actor, to work with, and he just blew up, So I just say I'm very fortunate that I had the opportunity to work with him for that short period of time.
Well, I'll go one further, and maybe a few years before that, him and I were supposed to have a match, and him and I were speaking about things, and just the kind. I mean, you kind of when you speak to someone, you kind of get an idea of the type of person
Yeah.
they are, and I said, this kid's gonna be something. He's going to
Hmm.
be something. We never had that match because I hurt my back. But the bottom line is that you can kind of see a person's
Right.
persona come out, and you're like, okay,
Mhm.
there's something there. And if they have someone smart around them, they're going to make stuff happen. And I think that
And,
whether
and if they have the right attitude.
that's the most important thing because sometimes people blow up and then they blow up,
There you go.
which
There
makes no
you
sense. I mean, when you're young, you're stupid, right? You
go.
you you
Hmm.
you think that you're invincible. When you
That's
get
right.
older, you know better. You may have all the knowledge, you may have more success, but you're
Hmm.
humbler. I mean,
Absolutely.
you look at you. You're humble in how you are. Where you can be an arrogant prick if you wanted to,
Yeah,
but that's
well,
not you. That's not
I've
you.
never been that, but I have fallen early in my career for the trappings,
Right.
the
Yeah. Sure.
fame, the fortune, the money, and all that. You fall for that.
Hmm.
But as you get older, and the first wave died out, and then my business partner Robert Jefferson, he kind of talked me into kind of the working here in the American shores and doing things. And I came back and I started working for Drew Hill, Island Def Jam, and the Emmy-winning director Nick Quested on a lot of music videos.
Hmm.
Paula Cole, Metallica, Eve, The Locks. So I had a great career in Hong Kong, and then I was very fortunate enough to change and make that another career here in the United States.
And the stuff that you're doing right now, you're more behind the camera than in front of the camera now. So let's talk about
Right.
that behind the camera and what you have going on, Bobby, because again, you've had a career in front of the camera, you've done a lot of things. Okay,
Yes.
now you're behind the camera, which you're able to do more things because you're able to
Correct.
open up more doors, and you've been doing that for quite some time. And I see the talent that you're reeling up, so it's interesting.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah, started a independent film label with my business partner of 30 years, and basically what we do is short form content. Actually, and then we our first full length feature film. We partnered with Tambuli Media to do Made in Chinatown. That was a $2 million budget.
Hmm.
So that was our biggest venture. But ultimately, our films we want to make sure that all of the films are inclusive of all nationalities. So
Hmm.
there's an eclectic cast. I've always cast Asian Americans, blacks, whites, Latinos, and however, primarily when it comes to the leads or the heroic leads, I give people of color and an opportunity
Hmm.
when others probably wouldn't give them opportunities.
Hmm.
Sometimes there's a lot of hidden talent out there, and I don't like to get caught up in the Hollywood pitfalls of egos and agents and things of that nature. Sometimes you just come across a pet project with a great idea, and you just want to run with it. You don't want to deal with certain things, and that's where I get when from the passion from the independent film groups.
Hmm.
And at first, short form content didn't actually take off so much, but now it's very popular.
Hmm.
You got Quibi out there,
Not anymore. No more Quibi.
no, they did away with Quibi.
Yeah, out of business.
Right. Well, Netflix has a short films
Netflix.
division,
There you go.
and some of the other platforms as well,
Hmm.
Amazon. So it is becoming more popular.
Hmm.
Recently, Haya on Amazon Prime, they're taking their channel and they're going to grow,
Hmm.
and they're looking for short form content for intermission throughout motion pictures that they feature.
Oh, cool.
So again, it's a format that we latched onto, and so far we've been doing pretty good with it.
Hmm. And you're
So we do
and
films and short content.
No, that's awesome, and the thing is with how you're casting certain people, and
Hmm.
I just want to let the viewers and listeners understand this too, is when you're making films and you say you're giving an opportunity to people of color for them to shine. It's not because you're saying, okay, I want somebody black or Spanish to go and be a superstar. No, it has nothing to do with that. What it has
It's
to
not
do with is that you're saying, you know something, I see something in you, and if I can give you that opportunity, it's going to be there. It's not because you're not as
correct.
good. It's not because you're better than anyone else. Well, actually, you may
Hmm.
be better as far as your
Hmm.
talent, but you weren't
Hmm.
given the opportunity. I've seen so many films, and again, this is stuff that's a pet peeve of mine. When I see so
Hmm.
many films that just have one race, it's like
Hmm.
I don't understand it. Where's the diversity? Where's the opportunity? When you do that, you're isolating. You're
Hmm.
isolating other groups, and then what happens with these groups that are these people that are in this movie? Are they going to be able to transition to more diverse atmosphere? I don't know. You know better about that than I do.
I do.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I take challenges. I like to challenge myself in my career and things that, because you don't want to get one track, one formula, one format, because it grows stale. I've
Hmm.
done short form films in Mexico,
Hmm.
complete Mexican cast, complete Spanish language, and I don't really speak Spanish,
Hmm.
but that's a challenge for me. However, we've garnered 5 awards for the 2 films that we've done.
There you go.
So again, I recently did a film for Art School Productions. They kept asking me for 2 years would I want to do it, and I never really wanted. I was comfortable doing action films, and then it was like we want to do a female version of Medea, Kung Fu Medea, somewhat, and it was called Asian Auntie,
Hmm.
about an old Asian lady, but we're guys who dress up in
Right, right,
ladies'
right.
clothes. Nature. A lot of comedy, hijinks, things of that nature. But it was very interesting. At first, I didn't want to do it, but actually, I'm glad I did it because it was picked up by Amazon.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
it's selling pretty well right now. So sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zone,
Hmm.
and just try things differently. Um, my next couple of films are going to feature a more eclectic cast as well. Every single film does, and you don't have to be a name actor. You don't have to have the greatest martial arts skills.
Hmm.
Sam always told me years ago. He said, the most interesting things and what make my films successful is the characters. And when
Hmm.
I sit back and think about all of the films that Sam has done over the years, it truly is the characters that stand out. And when he was training me to be a director, that's what he said. He said, most importantly, create interesting characters.
Hmm.
Don't worry about whether somebody's a star or not. You, as a director, if you see something in someone, you can propel them, you can design, you can make for them. And that's what I do.
It's
So if
creating,
you
it's creating, developing the talent
there you
development. That's what you're
there you
doing.
go. If someone has a great look and can actually act and has mediocre action, I can work with that because it's
Yeah.
my job as a director and as an action director to make that individual look good.
Hmm.
And I have a pretty good grasp of the camera system, so I understand how to make someone look good on film.
That I'm glad you brought that up because I want our viewers and listeners to understand. Just because you're a great fighter does not mean you can be a film fighter. It's a different
That's
animal. It has to do
completely
with
different.
angles and camera angles and how you can
Right.
make a fight scene look real. But
Mhm.
these guys may not even be touching each other half the time. But that's a
Mhm.
skill set that the director behind the camera understands, and the only way you really know that, Bobby, is that if you know how to actually you're involved in martial arts, you know it,
Mhm.
but you know what works on film. So you need both those aspects in order to make it work.
You, you would be surprised how many A-level martial artists that I wanted to give an opportunity to. However, fighting for film, it didn't translate the
Hmm.
action. And they're brilliant martial artists, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
Um, but to do action for film is different. The
Yeah.
tempo is different. The technique is different. You almost the camera's like the third arm in an actual fight scene.
Hmm.
So you actually have to consider all elements. It's action, it's reaction, it's
Hmm.
camera movement, it's camera left, camera right. Inserts. Just to make a 1 minute action sequence, you'd be surprised how much it actually takes in order to make it work and
Right.
make sell, make it to the point where the audience can go, wow, So that's what I try to do by learning in Hong Kong. I'm the only African American Hong Kong stuntman ever. So, with that, I want to make sure that, I represent the organization that gave me my opportunity well.
Mhm. Yeah, and the thing is, and you with just to continue on with the movie fighting,
Mhm.
you've seen on Netflix they have Cobra Kai. I
Yeah,
saw that. I mean, it cracked me up because it brought me back to a different time. Look, but
right.
you and I know Marty Cove well, and
Uh-huh.
then and also see people don't realize that he's not a martial artist. He doesn't know how
Right.
to fight, but he did it
That's
for
right.
the film. Okay, Mr.
Exactly. He
Miyagi
has
again, Pat.
character. He has character.
Right, right. And Pat Morita too, not a martial
Right.
artist, but he learned how to do film fighting. And you have
That's
a
right.
lot of guys that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
So,
Daniel San. I know he can't fight, so
right.
but it's just, and I'm making those references so that people, because that's something that everyone knows a Karate Kid. So that's something that they would understand. And
Yeah.
it's not easy to train someone how to do that. It's a talent. Not everyone can do it, but you have the ability to do that. And Art Camacho as well has the ability to do that.
Uh,
Okay.
I've learned a lot from Art, and
Yeah.
that's another good thing. I was very fortunate, to know a lot of people now on the American film industry,
Hmm.
icons, and they're like my uncles and my godfathers, and they teach me a lot.
Hmm.
Brian Arota, Lucas Foster, Demetrius Angelo, he's a great guy, a lot of Oso Tiari Cassell,
Hmm.
and the list just goes on, just to be able to pick up the phone and call these icons that when I was a kid, I was going to the newsstand and buying magazines where they were on the cover.
Hmm.
I'd never dreamed of anything like this. It's amazing.
But you know
Dreams do
something?
come
Yeah, but you know something? You have some kids that are growing up that are saying the same thing about you.
true.
And this is a cycle of life, right? You go and
Yeah.
you do the things in your life, and you try to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and then you go and you're trying to, at the end of the day, especially in Hollywood, you're trying to leave a legacy behind, because when we're done, what do you leave
Yeah.
behind? It has to
That's
be the creative that you did. Okay, it has to be something that you built and you left behind. I had a conversation with a big Hollywood person today, and we were talking about how the creative and the suits, they haven't been seeing eye to eye forever, but that's
right.
changing now.
Mm-hmm.
That's changing now because the advent of digital and the ability to distribute digitally, now you just took the power out of their hand. Look at Disney. Look what Disney's doing. They're going digital.
Mm-hmm.
And you have movie theaters with the pandemic, movie theaters are shutting down, things like
Mm-hmm.
that are happening. And the bottom line is, 2020 has been a hellish year, but it's been a year of change. I mean,
It has.
serious change.
Mm-hmm.
And
It has.
yeah.
And it's such a this year out of all the years I'll remember the most because of everything that's been going on.
Yeah.
But as Americans, we're tough,
Yeah.
but we can get through this, and
Sure.
just like you say, this is the change that's happening. We were forced into it, but I don't see us really going back.
No.
Hence
No.
Vero. I
Yeah,
just
I mean,
I don't see us going backwards anymore.
no,
This will have to be included into the filmmaking process and into the entertainment world in general.
that's
I've
right.
always said that movies and movie theaters and other venues that you go to see films and IMAX theaters, they're wonderful experiences, but it's a tough competition when you have digital technology and you have streaming service,
Mhm.
where you have the convenience of your cell phone, your laptop, whatever device you have that you can watch the entire series, a movie, whatever, at your leisure, where you want,
Where you
um,
want, when you want,
when
and
you want.
and that is the time. Time
Right,
is the most precious commodity.
right,
You go to a
exactly,
movie, you have to drive there, find parking, go
right,
inside, buy a
right,
ticket, buy the
right,
popcorn, see people you don't
mhm,
want to see. You're sitting next to a
right,
stinky person, whatever the case
right.
may be, but you're there for the experience. But
People
meanwhile,
talk.
Yeah. Meanwhile, $60 later, 60 you lighter $60, and then you're
Right,
like, whatever. Where you could have did something else, and maybe you don't like the movie. Having
right.
that digital experience and being able to do it from home. See, like even on Vero, I mean, not yet, but if you were going to watch a movie, you can watch a movie and have people and have some sort of watch party type of thing. You have
Yeah,
other social media platforms that are doing it, like Facebook and everything. They're doing this stuff,
yeah.
but in this world right now, people are lonely. They're
Hmm.
bored. They need entertainment. So what you're
Right.
doing is bringing them entertainment, and it becomes very interesting because we'll watch a stupid, ridiculous, gaming reality show just because we need to be entertained.
Right. And
Like he
very
said, like
important.
what's his face said in Gladiator. And are you entertained? Are you
Right.
entertained? So that's the
That's right.
question. Are you entertaining them? And that's what you're doing.
So the digital and streaming markets, it's here to stay.
Hmm.
It's only a question now. You want to create more content, like I said, short film format now is very interesting. With the convenience of digital technology and the streaming platforms, you short form content is interesting now because a lot of people don't have 2 hours to sit and watch something.
Yeah.
You may have 30-minute lunch break and it's this 20-minute short you wanted to watch. You can actually watch it from beginning to end. And some of these shorts are very powerful these days. Some of them, they actually they're thought out and they're well shot with advent of digital technology.
Yeah.
So
Cost
that's the
effectiveness too.
trading on. Say again.
Cost effectiveness too.
Very cost effective. That's why we started. As we talked earlier, you and I, growing up on Black Belt Theater,
Hmm.
syndicated in every city across the United States. Saturday afternoons. You're there. You're
Three
watching
o'clock.
3 o'clock, brother. You know what's going on. Channel 9, Channel 5. You know what I'm saying? Philadelphia was 29.
Yep.
But what I did with Red Sash Theater, this new platform that I created for independent filmmakers, basically, they can submit their content and I'll air it, but it has to be done right. So there's a quality control board that actually views the film before it's submitted and allowed to be on the channel.
Okay.
But what I wanted to do was kind of get the old feeling back of Black Belt Theater, like when we were growing up,
Right.
but just in a smaller format. So most of our films now are geared toward just action crowds and on Kung Fu Fridays and
Mhm.
martial arts Thursdays, and then I have my female heroines on Wednesdays, things of that nature.
Oh, that's cool.
But just again, kind of creating that atmosphere. Now I just did one called Shadow Fist, which is a complete homage to Shaw Brothers.
Okay.
So you'll really like that. We're going to release that in 2 weeks. But
And to the viewers and listeners that don't know who the Shaw Brothers are, they were the icons in China, in the Hong Kong film industry.
that's correct.
Yep.
That's correct. Who had a formula that no one has been able to reproduce. They use
Yep.
the same actors. You see 30, 40 films a year.
Yep.
The studio,
Like
when we can recreate that formula, the
yeah, this
same
is
series
you had like
actors.
the man with the kid with the golden arms, and you had
Right.
but you had the
Library
same actors
Down.
that shifted.
Correct. Correct. But the audience accepted it. The
Yeah.
audience didn't say, "Oh, that's the same guy who was in the last film," or no, they looked forward to it. Chang Che, he created the heroic bloodshed films.
Yeah. And now tell us about the Red Sash Theater. Tell me more about that, and I want our viewers and listeners to learn more about that.
Yeah. So again, we do short form film content. We do one original every month,
But
and
where does that air though? Where you
it airs on Binge TV.
Binge TV?
On Binge
Okay.
TV.
Okay.
Yep, Amazon Fire Stick, over 100 channels on smart TVs. I partnered with Demetrius Angelo, Urban Action Showcase, and Binge TV to present that.
Mhm.
So we're excited. It's been doing well. And again, we allow filmmakers. We've had art school dropouts, Rising Tiger Films, Deviant Children. They've all submitted content to air on the channel. So basically, it's like Black Belt Theater
Right. Right.
or short form content. You
Yeah.
know,
But that's good because when you look at a TV show, if it's a half hour from 8 to 8:30, the actual show itself is maybe 22 minutes, maybe
correct. My
so that's
commercials.
the short form,
That's right.
and
Right.
and you
And you look forward to next week's episode. You
yeah.
know.
Yeah, but now
You
with
know,
Netflix, you binge everything. So
there you go. There you go. You got to pay attention to the bingers too,
yeah,
because they're dedicated to that. Some
yeah.
people, block out. They get off. They work Monday through Friday. They're off Friday, and they just want to sit from Friday until Sunday, where they have to go to bed, binge an episode.
Yeah.
13, 14 episodes. So that's where it's more successful, I feel, than weekly episodic for NBC and CBS.
That
You
that's
have to
that's old. That's not going to
Oh,
survive.
a new series comes out. Okay, you get a 30-minute episode, and you got to wait a week until
Yeah,
another 30-minute. Whereas, Netflix, Amazon, they drop 13, 14 episodes a
yeah.
pop. Look at Disney, Mandalorian. I'm waiting to get off this interview to get in season 2. Been
but
so
but
yeah, I'm
but this,
one of them.
but the thing is, when this is the future. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to be more
Yeah.
enhanced. The
Mhm.
millennials, the Gen Zs, they're a mobile generation. They, I
Correct.
mean, they equate for about half the population. All right, and
Mhm.
beyond that, they are about 30. They're about 30 to 35, maybe 40% of the consumers in the world. So
That's right.
if they want to be mobile and they want digital banking, digital this, digital that in my
Mhm.
hand, I want to move around with it. And if you
Right.
don't cater to it, then you lose. Quibi, I mean, that's a
Here we
gone
go.
situation. They raised $1.6 billion. Where did they go? They're gone. You had
Yep.
you had big heavy hitters in there. They're gone.
Jeffrey Katzenberg. Yeah.
Yeah, you had Meg Whitman there, from HP. All this stuff,
Mhm.
they're gone. And the thing
Mhm.
is, they did something which to me I think is ridiculous. You're creating content, great, but you cannot have an old school mentality with a young
Right.
generation. You can go
Right.
and create this technology. They had great technology, the best technology no one knew.
Hmm.
Okay, so now the new generation is like, all right, you know what? We don't want this thing. We'll rather watch it on Snapchat or Instagram because it's quick to the point. I don't have time to waste on it, and
There
then
you go.
and that's what it comes down to. But they rather see something, a cat doing something stupid because it
Hmm.
entertains them, as opposed
Hmm.
to watching whatever, a 2 or 3 minute short that
Hmm.
someone spent $1 million on. They want to
Hmm.
see the creative, and the creative comes from the bottom up. I think.
That's right. I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that's so important. Each one of my films, I like to have a theme to them.
hmm,
No one film. There's no signature, so to say. Every single one is differently because I approach it differently. It's a different cast. It's a different collaborative effort. When you doing films, yeah, I may be the director, but say for Made in Chinatown, there were 60 people that actually
hmm,
helped create that vision. So I was just the commander of the ship.
right,
They actually help. So when you're talking about creating vision, it's a collaborative process. And as far as I'm concerned, the crew have an integral part in helping create whatever the audience appreciates.
of course,
Sometimes you can like the raid. Oh my God, this is the greatest action film ever. But no one paid attention to the script writer for that. The person who created that vehicle. They only paid attention to the action
hmm,
and the stars. Unfortunately, sometimes there are unsung heroes behind the scenes that just get caught up in that. It's just
yeah,
the nature of how people are trained to think. When you look at a movie poster, you look at the director, the producer. You very rarely look at like a script writer. But I
hmm,
think now it's time for us to start promoting the creative people behind the scenes
sure.
that help us.
But the funny thing is, Bobby, that I had someone on the show, and the name escapes me, but we had a great conversation, and basically he started, from behind the scenes. He was working the lights, working this, and writing this, and doing all the stuff behind the scenes. So when he became an actor,
Yeah.
he knew all the camera angles. He knew how to look best, how to do this, and how it's going to look on camera. And I think every actor should learn how to make a film as opposed to just being an actor. I think that makes you a better actor.
I think most of your better directors are former actors.
Yeah.
One actor who I just think is brilliant. Great comedic timing, but then again, he can just on the drop of a dime turn in a dramatic performance that it's like, are you serious? And he's a brilliant director, and that's Jason Bateman.
Yeah,
Jason
Jason
is
Bateman. I mean, I love this guy because, you know,
Ozark.
yeah,
Ozark is amazing,
yeah.
amazing.
Oh, I love that show. Love that. I'm waiting for it to come back. They gotta get this thing going. They need to
Right,
get this thing going. And things like with Netflix and the digital realm and with binging and everything, you have Netflix. They raise their prices for the membership now per month. They're looking to capture more market share, and they're looking to bring on more content. Okay,
hmm
you have Amazon that now is doing more stuff too with Prime. You have other
right.
platforms that are doing similar things. They're trying to get the content. Content is king. The
That's right.
creators that create this content, they're the ones that wind up being in the driver's seat for the first time since when?
Since
Since
ever.
forever. Yep.
Remember back, you remember they owned the studios, they
Yep.
owned the theater, they owned the actors, they owned everything.
Yep.
We couldn't get anything, it's what they gave you.
Yeah.
Um, Once digital technology hit, it took the control. And once celluloid was gone,
Hmm.
poof, that's over. I
Yeah.
knew that the transition, they no longer held the power anymore.
Yeah, and
So,
look at it.
and the last, not to cut you off, I
No, go
apologize.
go ahead.
The last vestige was streaming. You no longer have to actually go to these theaters,
Hmm.
you can sit home and watch them.
Yeah, and that's so true. And to me, it's interesting how, like, right now we're doing this show. Okay, we're doing the show. We're on Vero Hive. We're streaming like live. I mean, if I wanted this show to be live, it can be embedded where people are watching it right now. Okay, as
Wow.
simple as that. The bottom
Mhm.
line is that with platforms like Vero Hive, platforms that allow you to do different things,
Mhm.
filmmakers, recording artists, they have an opportunity to reach a greater crowd because the bottom line is if you go stream live on Facebook or YouTube, who owns that content?
Right.
Not you. Is you
That's
think
right.
it's you, but it's not you. You're using their platform to do it, and that's why when Vero Hive was built, just to touch on this, is that
Mhm.
when you create something and you record something, that's yours.
See?
You download it, it belongs to you, and you can build, and it gives people like with in the movie industry, gives you the opportunity to build up maybe a catalog of something, and then
Mhm.
you can go make money, maybe sell it to Netflix, stuff like that, if you're doing whatever you're doing. Because believe it or not, it is funny. Somebody asked me about this today, and I don't mean to take away from
No, no,
bringing you in the
no.
show, but I think it's is relevant to what we're talking about,
Absolutely.
where there's going to be an area of Virive that is going to be for live streaming solely and doing different things. And they asked me, they said, well, if I wanted to go and live stream an event, can I do it? I said, absolutely. If I wanted to
Mm.
go and have a reality show thing, can I stream it on there? I said, if you have the cameras and you're connected to the system, sure you can. What does it cost? It doesn't cost much if you're a premium host, it basically is a couple of shekels, but you can actually do it, and you can monetize your time and your efforts and everything like that. So to me, technology is key to what
It's
is going to
key.
be happening from here on in, because we're not going back to what was, man. It's not
No,
happening. It's
not
not
happening.
happening. You know.
Nope.
And so,
So
go ahead.
either embrace and move forward with the times, or you're doomed to be stagnant
Yeah.
and remember a bygone era.
Yeah, and that's it. It is a bygone era. You know what it is? And it's like Blockbuster. The studios I look at as being Blockbuster, where you have
Mhm.
Netflix is the future, Blockbuster is the past. And if there's anyone, a teenager or something that's listening to the show or viewing it, they don't know what Blockbuster is.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
And it's just like saying Blockbuster, Blockbuster who? Exactly.
Right.
The
And
studios.
look at the transition and how quick it happened. I remember going to buy in VHS tapes for $69.
Hmm. Yeah.
I remember that. And
Yep.
and then it went from VHS tapes to DVDs to Blu-rays to yet now it's who buys Blu-rays? Who buys CDs anymore?
No.
Everything is streamed.
Yep, everything
So
is streamed, and with
never
fi-
go back.
and for the movie producers out there that are working on slim budgets, keep in mind 5G is coming upon us, where you can
Mhm.
actually do something live, stream it live, and you can do this stuff. And guess what? It's cost effective because really, what is the cost? You're streaming.
Right.
I mean, I remember. Um, what was it, maybe 5 years ago, I was doing something and I had to go pay a few $100s to go and stream live.
Mm.
But right now, I don't pay a damn thing to do that. But the point is that because technology
Hmm.
advances, technology
Hmm.
advances. But I have to let people know that when you're using YouTube, Facebook, things like that, understand the ownership of the content that you have. Because
Right.
I mean, there are legal things there, and if you can develop content, you want to be able to own it. And I think that's important. Just like in the recording artists, owning the masters.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, that
Read
that
the fine, read the fine print.
there you go.
Even
That
even in the streaming service,
yeah.
read the fine print.
No doubt, no doubt about it, Bobby. I mean,
Yes.
before we end the show, I know you want to get to the Mandalorian. You're excited, you're stoked about it. I get it, but I want you to do two things for me. First,
Sure.
give your website and information for what you're doing, so people can learn more about what you're doing. Let's do that first.
Right. So we have our YouTube channel. It's R4 Films. Just put R4 Films in there, and we'll pop right up. We got major content on there. We also have www.redsashtheater.com.
Hmm.
You go there and see your content. We do one original every month. We do a pay-per-view once every 2 months, but
Okay.
we usually do a lot more. The short form content is extended. It's probably like 35, 40 minutes.
Hmm.
And we do 299 rentals. So
Okay.
again, that's just to help, generate the income in order to keep this ball rolling.
Well, you,
Um,
you you need something coming in to keep everything going, so people get what
there
they.
you
Yeah,
go.
it's about supporting the process. Go. I
There you
get it.
go. I don't want it to be so painful for everyone, and I want it to
Sure.
be convenient.
Sure.
You can reach out to me on Facebook, on Instagram. It's RJ Samuels underscore. And that's pretty much it. So I
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank you.
No, well, nope. It's my honor to have you on here, Bobby. You and I we go back, and I just like
Yes,
highlighting you, and more so now because of what we're doing. Okay,
yes,
and we're gonna be doing
and I
some
love
cool.
love to be a part, whatever you guys are doing.
Oh, we're gonna talk soon. But what I want you to do, the second thing I want you to do,
Sure.
what message would you give right now to an aspiring director, producer, someone coming into the film industry? What message would you give to them for them to have the most success in what they're doing?
I'll say it in one word: discipline. It's very important. Respect your craft. By that, learn from everyone. Study your craft. Take chances. Take risks. A lot of people like to stick their toe in the water and see if it's cold or not. I like to jump in 12 feet. That's just how you make it in life. Sometimes you just have to try. I knew from the age of 10. I said I sat in a movie theater. If you don't take anything else from this interview, I sat in a movie theater with my aunt watching Five Fingers of Death.
Hmm.
I looked at a guy at the age of 10 on screen who was the lead, and I said, I'm going to work with him one day. 25 years later, the first film I did was with that individual. I'm sitting in a car, and the Beastie Boy walked down the street and said, Bobby Samuels. I was in awe because the films had been seen on an underground.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to take an unorthodox route to get to where you are. That's why I told you about getting a job with US Airways, where I
Yeah.
knew I could fly free.
Yeah.
Working at McDonald's wasn't going to fund it. So again, have a plan, be dedicated and disciplined to the plan. Also, the second most important word is humble. Remain humble. That's so important.
And those words are going to resonate. And anyone, again, any aspiring filmmaker, you're getting involved in this arena, listen to Bobby Samuels, follow him, go to his site, go to go to the Red Sash site, go and see him, follow him on Instagram, follow him on Facebook, see what's going on, support what he's doing, because that platform, what you're doing, Bobby, is going to help so many. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that you're doing, brother. And I want you to
Thank you
stay
so
with me.
much.
Don't leave me. I know you want to get to the Mandalorian, but don't leave me yet.
Okay,
All
I got
right.
you,
But
brother.
I want to thank all the listeners and viewers for tuning in, and we're going to be back with you for the next episode of the UCW Radio Show. Thank you so much.